Hey guys, this market update. The trades as they succeeded at the start of the year are just completely over and finished. They're dead, right? All of the things that were pumping are now not pumping. So let's talk about that. You have the AI trade falling away, right? Micron and Intel are down, both 30% from their highs. Still a great performance this year, but they haven't really gone up for months. The Nasdaq has gone sideways for 3 to 4 months. SpaceX is below its IPO price. It's down 40% from the highs, right? So where's the money to bid up these things? Bitcoin's had the majority of its bear market in its sell-off, right? You can see it's trying to find the bottom here. So for Bitcoin, actually a really good and healthy thing would be for this thing to go very low volatility sideways for a while. That actually marks bottoms, not recoveries like this. This is when you get very, very strong rallies in bear markets, are typically like short covering rallies. It's where traders start to cover their shorts, right? So they made a successful trade, right? They went short and they quickly just cover their shorts and the market rallies. What you want is price action more like this, which is completely dead sideways price action. That actually is much more suggestive of a kind of a true market bottom, which I would like to see here. So throughout the summer, if we go sideways and don't really go anywhere, I think that's actually pretty good news. But look, for Bitcoin, this is one of the world's best assets. It's going to keep going up versus dollars. It has a 20 to 30% growth rate, and you're buying it at a very, very attractive time versus the AI trade, which has exploded, right? Silver had a huge run. Gold had a huge run. Those runs are over. You can see it, right? The prices are coming off. So do you want to buy those? Or do you want to buy Bitcoin, which already has gone through that? We're in a great period here versus these other assets. I just don't like the AI trade, to be totally honest. Like Micron and Intel, I don't want to buy those companies. I'll buy the Nasdaq and it will sort itself out. But I think over a long-term time horizon, the thing that makes money is having a monopoly on distribution of products and services, not the LLMs. I don't think those are commodities. They're like block space. LLMs are commodities. The Chinese are commoditizing it. Right? You can see all of their open source models are just as good, there or thereabouts, with the things from Anthropic and OpenAI. They're commodities. They're not worth anything. What is worth something is the monopolization of product distribution, which is why I buy the Nasdaq, because you've got a tech monopoly in the Nasdaq. They have monopolization of distribution of the internet, right? They just do. That's why I buy that, not because of the tech, right? The LLMs are being commoditized by Chinese LLMs, so they're not the scarce thing. That's why Anthropic is lobbying for regulation, telling everyone that AI is going to destroy everything and kill the human race, because they want regulation to monopolize their distribution. That is the scarce thing, not the LLMs. So I really just don't like the whole AI thing. And when it's this AI trade in the news, you just know that you're not getting good prices there, right? When Bitcoin is off 50% and everyone's deriding it, and right, that is actually, that's a good price because no one likes this thing anymore. Maybe SpaceX, which I called a low float, high FDV shitcoin because it is actually better value now at minus 40% from the highs. I love the company. I just don't like the fact that only 5% of the shares are free float. But 40% off, that's more attractive, right? So fundamentals versus price. I don't like the AI trade. Anything that's popular is not good value. So I'll buy the Nasdaq because it's a monopoly on distribution. And I'll buy Bitcoin because it's a monopoly on money. And that's it. It's going to outperform over the long term. If you want to trade Bitcoin crypto, check out the Bybit link down in the description. Click that, make a deposit as a new user, and I'll give you a deposit bonus to trade with up to $30,000. When Bitcoin hits a new all-time high again at some point in the future, it'll be the popular trade again. It'll be in news headlines, and you'll get a bunch of top buyers coming in, being excited about it because they want to make some money. They don't really believe in the asset. They don't want to go through the thick and thin. And ultimately, they're just not going to make that much forward returns because they're buying a high price. And look, you can't just wait for prices to be high to convince you that the asset is good. That's just diabolical behavior, right? And silver's taken a bath, so no one's asking about it now. But they were asking about silver. Silver is garbage. It's commodity. Okay? The price goes up. They just dig more out. They make it. They sell it. It's a commodity. That's why it's called a commodity, because it's garbage, right? It's not an asset. So it's ridiculous that people ask about it when the price is high. It's diabolical behavior. Make a fundamental decision about what good assets are and buy them over time, especially when the price is low. And you can only buy when the price is low in relation to the trend if you have conviction. A lot of people don't. What they do is watch videos and look for little metrics that say, I can buy now and make some money. You're just playing around. It's not real, right? Look, what we see here is selling from people that bought the top. They're capitulating, which ultimately is the kind of bottoming process of the bear market, right? In light blue, this is long-term holders realized losses into exchanges. They're not long-term holders, right? These are people that bought the top, right? So they bought the top, sold the bottom. It's diabolical behavior. What are you even doing? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you buy something and then sell it when the price is down? So you bought it at a higher price, but you don't want to buy it at a lower price? That doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever. What are you doing, right? It's because you bought an asset you don't actually know about or have any conviction in or even want to own. You just want to make a little bit of money for yourself. And of course you get tested and you get wrecked. You're selling in the bottom, you're buying the top. They did it here as well. Bought the top, sold the bottom. You can see the big spike. So are we in a bottoming process? Yes, I think so. Is this the bottom? I think it's the wrong question, right? It's like, if you want to trade the asset, then wait for it to break through the technicals. And if you're really investing, then you know that these are good prices in relation to the trend. And if you believe in it or not. Look, we have the age band awakening by year, right? This will be known as the Great Rotation. The Great Rotation of Bitcoin, from any person that ever bought it that said to themselves, look, if it reaches 100K, I'll take some off the table, right? Because you made great money. If you bought at 1,000, you made 100x. You're going to take some off, right? You know what, 100K, I'll take some off. If you bought at 10, you made a 10x. If you bought at 50 around the ETFs, because they started, I think the ETF launch was around 30, 40K. If you bought 40, 50K through the ETFs, even you'll say to yourself, if I make a quick 2x here, if I double my money here, I'll just take some off. Everyone just went Great Rotation out. And that's why we had that. People talk about quantum or anything else, or is Bitcoin fat? Look, the 100K level, everyone, the whole entire network went, oh, sigh of relief. I'll let some go. There's a bid in infinite size, and I can withdraw that money to my bank account without being called a criminal. Oh, thank God for that. I'll take some off the table. Ooh, we can calm down now. That's what the network is doing. You can see that. And then other things pump, gold and silver and everything. So everyone moves on. Do you have conviction in this though? Do you have conviction in this asset? In fact, down here, you need the least amount of conviction because the price is at trend or slightly below trend. And so where's the risk reward here? Very, very good. Up here, less so. So I'll tell you my strategy. Anything under this red line, I buy. I'm just going to buy, because I don't want to outperform an asset growing 30% a year. Why do you want to outperform that? 30% compounded year over year. That's fine by me, right? I don't want to be a hero. Anything up here, it's like way too high in relation to the trends. So, not going to be buying. Probably, even if we get to this, I'll probably sell some, right? Because it's like, look, this is just insane. It's happened here as well, right? If you buy these levels, you're not getting great forward returns. Here, under this red line, this is just my analysis of the price, right? I think it's within the range, right? But look, the whole network just took a sigh of relief, came off, but the reality is there is huge rotation at these levels into sovereign wealth funds and strategy, which are net buyers over time. They're not going to sell for a profit. That's not what they do, right? Strategy is not going to sell for a profit. They're going to continue their strategy over and over. And all of the sovereign wealth funds, they accumulate, they don't distribute. So you've got a great rotation here. And what's happened is you've moved from people that traded individual hedge funds or traders or whatever. They took a sigh of relief, and that's just gone into more permanent capital. And it's just the same over and over and over, right? Rotates into people that have money that need to save it, people that want to let it go. But look, the price moves up higher and higher in a trend. This is a great price, and I have conviction in the asset. I don't want to go and buy Intel and Micron. I have no idea about those companies, and I don't want to build my life around Micron or Intel, right? You can't do that. But I can build my life around a worldwide store of value, right? So that's the difference. The most interesting thing from Kevin Warsh's deposition in Washington this week was his confirmation once again that the Fed controls inflation. And he said, in no uncertain terms, monetary policy from the Fed controls inflation. We have complete control over the price level of everything. And that's true. Everything is priced in dollars, and the Fed controls dollars 100%. Complete and total control. They control the amount of dollars in existence that can chase goods and services, and they control the interest rate, which controls risk-taking and creation of dollars, or the contraction of dollars, right? They control everything. They wanted high inflation. Transitory was a lie. And it's amazing how the most nefarious lies in humanity just get dismissed because they're so big and they're so destructive that our mind can't even comprehend them. Right here, everyone got wrecked, everyone got destroyed, everything went up like double price, even higher. Everything went up in price because they printed dollars and our wages didn't go up, so we got wrecked. Transitory, the biggest lie in humanity. Everyone got destroyed. They control the price level. They can't have debt deflating, so they destroy everyone with dollars. They want to do this. They want positive price inflation. They say that they want core PCE to be around 2%. What they want to do is slowly steal so that nobody notices and causes a hullabaloo politically. Everything goes on, everything's mild. Mild, fast or slow, we know the game, right? They're destroying all of the productivity of dollar holders. They want to distribute stable coins around the world so that more people hold dollars, which is essentially a tax on what you make because they control the debasement of it. You hold the dollars, you're paying a tax, right? Inflation is the tax. They said they want mild positive inflation. 2% core PCE, real inflation is 10% plus, right? Cooler than expected inflation starts to bid up Bitcoin. Why is that? As inflation comes down, remember, things should deflate. The price of things should get cheaper because we supply them. People working, using energy, creating widgets takes nothing from me. But if they supply 100 widgets 1 year and 1,000 the next, they've increased the supply. Nothing has come out of my pocket. I've not bought anything, but the supply's increased, the unit price comes down. Because inflation is coming down, the Fed says, whoa. We need to tax some of that. We need to tax supply. We can't have deflation. That's not how it works. So if inflation comes down, what's the Fed going to do? Drop interest rates and print money. If inflation goes higher, they say, whoa, that's too much. It's too much inflation. We're stealing too much now. You're going to get upset and start to riot, start to get politically active. We don't want that. Whoa, we don't want that. We want to steal mildly so you don't notice. But as inflation comes down, the market knows what the Fed is going to do, which is ease policy. They want to steal from you in a mild band. This is the amount of M2, money supply. Come on. It's a child's drawing. This is the amount of federal debt, which is money, by the way, right? It's currency. This is the S&P. This is the S&P in Bitcoin. The S&P is not going up in value. Why would S&P companies constantly increase the amount of revenue they make? It's impossible, isn't it? When you value their production in something that is scarce, they cannot constantly make more of it. They must increase supply per unit earned, which is deflation. The S&P isn't going up, man. How can it go up? Valued in dollars. It can't go up in dollars if the amount of dollars stays fixed. Look at the big money printing eras. After the 70s, when they went off the gold standard, after 2008, the amount of currency nominally in supply is going to rise exponentially. Just like every other fiat, that's the way the system is designed. There's no other way it can work. But that's what happens when you price production in something that's fixed. the production must go down, not up. You know? Over the long term, this is why I want to hold Bitcoin as a fixed monetary asset. But look, S&P is better than holding dollars. That's how much you've been taxed if you held dollars. Which is why they want stable coins to proliferate. That's the game. It's very simple. Life is simple, right? S&P, NASDAQ, Bitcoin. Don't hold dollars. You're gonna get wrecked. If you trade Bitcoin at all, you want to buy it right now, go to the link in the description, click the deposit bonus to Bybit. You can get a deposit bonus when you sign up. I'm James, this is MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.